When you look at the new space race, it really feels like a billionaire boys club. You've got Musk, Bezos, Branson, just these titans with what seems like endless cash. So, how in the world does a scrappy little startup from an island on the other side of the planet, founded by a guy who is definitely not a billionaire, even start to compete? Well, it turns out they don't just compete, they're absolutely thriving. So, get this. In November 2025, Rocket Lab launched its 75th Electron rocket. And here's the crazy part. They hit that huge milestone faster than any other space company in history. Not SpaceX, not any of the old school giants, a team from New Zealand. So how on earth did they pull that off? Okay, to really understand how they did it, we're going to break down the entire Rocket Lab playbook. We'll start with their totally improbable origin story. Then we'll dig into the no-money mindset that turns being broke into a superpower. We'll look at the relentless culture that drives them, reveal their secret weapon, end-to-end control, and finally, we'll pull out the key lessons every single founder needs to hear. First things first, let's set the stage. Because this isn't just a story about building rockets. It's about defying expectations at every single turn and growing at a pace that is just staggering. So it all starts in 2006. Rocket Lab goes from this tiny New Zealand startup to its first successful orbital launch by 2018. Just 3 years later, bam, they're on the NASDAQ. A few years after that, in 2025, they're hitting a company record of 21 launches in a single year. And now they're about to level up in a huge way with their massive Neutron rocket. It just goes to show you can start small to earn the street cred you need to go really, really big. To really get how incredible their achievement is, just look at this comparison. On one side, you've got Virgin Orbit, a household name, a famous billionaire founder, and over $1 billion in backing. They were the ones everyone was betting on, and they went bankrupt. On the other side, Rocket Lab. They built their workhorse Electron rocket for less than $100 million. It just begs the question, how did they win with so much less? Well, the answer starts with a philosophy that's literally baked into the company's DNA. It's what the founder, Peter Beck, calls the no-money mindset. This quote right here from the famous New Zealand physicist Ernest Rutherford, it's not just some nice motto they hang on the wall. It is the core of Rocket Lab's identity. See, without billions of dollars lying around, they couldn't just throw money at every problem they faced. They had to be smarter. They were forced to out-innovate, outthink, and out-hustle everybody else. For them, not having money wasn't a weakness. It was their creative engine. And this mindset leads to something they call fierce efficiency. Instead of just hiring huge teams, they build these small, super dedicated squads of the right people who are completely devoted to the mission. This approach forces real innovation and makes the whole company way tougher and more resilient than its overfunded competitors. But look, that no-money mindset doesn't really work without the right engine to power it. And for Rocket Lab, that engine is a really powerful and specific work culture, one that Peter Beck boils down to just one word: hustle. This is it. This is the Rocket Lab definition of hustle. When you hit a wall, you don't stop. You don't accept it. First, you try to climb it. If that doesn't work, okay, you try to go around it. And if you can't go around it, you get out a shovel and you start digging a tunnel right underneath it. It's a mentality of just pure tenacity, of never, ever giving up. And in the real world, this philosophy means that, the relentless hours are just the norm. But it also creates these incredible opportunities. I mean, a technician who literally started out mowing the lawns is now a lead launch tech. And here's the crucial part. It meant that while their competitors were pitching designs and PowerPoints, Rocket Lab was showing customers actual, finished rockets ready to go. They built trust by doing, not just promising. But a clever mindset and a ton of hard work, that's still only part of the story. Rocket Lab's other superpower is its strategy to control the entire process, from the tiniest component all the way to the whole mission. Now, you might hear the name Rocket Lab and think, well, obviously they make all their money from launching rockets. Makes sense, right? But you'd actually be wrong. By 2025, a whopping 70% of their revenue came from their space systems division. That's building satellites and all the parts for themselves and for other companies. The launch is just the key that unlocks the rest of their entire business. By building basically everything in-house, Rocket Lab gets what's called complete vertical integration. They're never stuck waiting on a supplier. They're never held hostage by someone else's schedule or their costs or their quality control. This total control is what lets them do these incredible things, like building and launching the twin spacecraft on NASA's mission to Mars for about $80 million. For perspective, that is a tiny, tiny fraction of a typical billion-dollar Mars mission.
So, what's the big takeaway from this amazing story? Let's try to distill the Rocket Lab playbook down into 5 core lessons that honestly apply way beyond the world of rocket science.
Okay, here we go. First, scarcity forces you to think, making it a creative advantage, not a weakness. Second, a culture of relentless problem solving, that hustle, can give you more grit than any competitor. Third, control your own supply chain, and you control your speed and your cost. Fourth, build trust by actually delivering, not just talking a good game. And finally, prove you can win on a small scale, and you'll earn the right to go tackle the really big challenges. And all this brings us to one last thought. We so often see a lack of resources as this huge barrier to success. But Rocket Lab proves that sometimes not having enough money can be the exact ingredient you need for a breakthrough. It forces a kind of clarity and innovation that you just can't buy. So, what problem in your world might look totally different if you came at it from a place of not having enough?